Hey guys, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I'm a recovering addict and my sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. Um, I'm coming on a little bit early, you guys, because we are going to have a guest on tonight. J.O. from Validated Prison Stories is going to come on and share his experience, strength, and hope, share about his recovery. And then, if you guys don't mind, you could go over and subscribe to his YouTube channel and all that good stuff. So, before he gets here, I'm going to share this video and I'm going to get the link to his channel so that way you guys will be able to find his channel. So, Validated Prison Stories. Hey, Merk. Bada bing, bada boom. You know, he went on Texas Prison Stories first, and that's where I saw him when I think that's where I first got heard from him was from Tim Snow. So if you guys haven't already checked out Tim Snow's channel, he's good people too. So will you guys do me a favor? For any of you guys that are in our Hangouts chat, will you let everybody know that we're live at 5? So let me share this and then we'll get Jo on the channel to come talk to you guys. Okay? All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, Bubby. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Jana. Hey, Merk. Hey, guys. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. Okay, Mr. Cool Dude. I see you got your sunglasses on.
Yeah. Hey, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Can you see me okay? I know it's kind of dark I'm at my mother-in-law's house and we are like we're house sitting. We're doing the dog. We have to take care of her dog. So it's like kind of
Okay.
dark in here.
Yeah, when I take my sunglasses off, I can see you okay.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear me and everything okay?
I hear you perfectly. You're perfect.
Okay. I'm actually, we came down today with it being Memorial Day. We came down to the little park. Here, I'll give you if you want to, I'll give you, when I get past this little section, I'll give you a little view of what I'm looking at.
Hell yeah. Show us what you got going on.
Let
We're
me
all about
see.
that.
Okay, let me see. How do I switch the camera view on this?
I don't know. You might have a little ring that's like that on the bottom that you can press that'll flip it. But if you can't, it's not a big deal.
Oh, no, there's the video. Okay, and then let's see if I can't. I guess I can't hear. I can do it. Like, can you see that?
Oh, wow. Y'all are on the lake.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. It's right down here on the water. So that's what we were down here doing. Just a little Memorial Day walk, and uh, it's just so beautiful out right now too. It was. I live in Washington State, and
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you live?
yeah,
Washington?
Washington State. Which so on our drive down here, I live 15 minutes. And excuse the sound. There's a DJ that I gotta walk past real quick. Uh, I literally live like 10 or 15 minutes from here. And when we left the house, it was kind of sprinkling. And when we got down here, it was sprinkling. And 5 minutes into our walk, it cleared up. So the weather down here is crazy. Like 1 minute it's raining, and then the next minute it's sunny skies, and yeah.
That's how it is
So,
here in Arkansas too. It's the same way.
oh, is it?
So,
Yeah.
so I was telling everybody that you have a channel and it's called Validated Prison Stories. So
Yes.
what I've done is I've linked your channel in the comments and I'll also link it when we upload this video.
Okay.
But could you, I know, so here's the thing, you guys, he is going to tell his whole real story on his channel. So that's why I want you guys to go over and subscribe to his channel and support him over there. But what we're going to do is we're just going to get kind of like the roundabout of how he got into his addiction and how he got sober. So can you share with us a little bit about like what it was like when you were growing up and then how you got into using drugs?
Yeah. So I grew up. I'm originally from Kansas. I grew up in a town called Hutchinson, Kansas, which is about 45 minutes from Wichita, Kansas.
Mhm.
And you know, I had the typical dysfunctional family uh, childhood. You know, I had a messed up stepdad who now is actually a, you know, him and I get along great. But my mother was young when she had me, um, and that caused a lot of strain because she wasn't ready to be a parent, which
Yeah.
I'm the one that, you know, suffered because of that. So my mother and I had a real crappy relationship um, for my entire life up until, hang on one second while I transfer this over.
Okay.
Uh, okay. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you perfect.
Okay, great. Anyways, my mother and I had a horrible relationship all the way up until um, about 3 years ago. And so all of this getting into trouble led me to running away from home, which led me to doing time in the juvenile system. And I got introduced to gangs and things like that through the
Oh, I can't hear you. Hey, I can't hear you. Did you put the Bluetooth on or something?
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Now I hear you. Now I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. I can't hear you though.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Hello?
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 I can't hear you. I can see you
It's
talking,
probably,
but
do
I
you
can't
have
hear
me
you.
hooked through?
Do you want me to leave and come back
Is
in?
it, yeah, yeah. Let's see if that works. We'll see what happens, you guys. I think it's happening. I think because he's on his Bluetooth in his car, I think that it's hooking up to his car and taking the sound out. So I'm not sure. I cannot believe how dark it is in this. It's in this freaking room. That looks like crap, doesn't it? Okay, hold on, guys. Can you hear me?
There we go. Sorry, when I
Okay,
turned the
cool.
when I rolled down the windows, it turned my Bluetooth onto the stereo. That's what messed it up.
That's what I
Anyways,
figured. That's what I figured.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I had a terrible childhood growing up. I had to grow up really fast. I ended up having I started having kids. My first child I had when I was 12 years old. Uh, I
What?
never, yeah, yeah, I,
Really?
yeah,
Oh man. I
I
mean, you
never,
didn't give birth to child. The girl gave
no,
birth to the child, but you
no,
made the child at 12-year
yeah,
old.
right. I
Okay.
was 12 years old when I fathered my first child. Now
Damn.
I was never part of this child's life because because I was in the state system and so was the female, and so there was a whole bunch of just mess with this whole
Yeah.
case, and I never found anything out. But nonetheless, it was kind of like a, you know, I was real active at 12 years old. So I ended up fathering my second child when I was 16 years old. And her and I have a great relationship now. And in total, I have 8 children. Um, so I, when I turned 18 years old, I moved from Kansas to Washington State because my grandparents moved up here, and I wanted to get away from Kansas, you know, and I wanted to start over. And so I came up here and I did good. You know, for, let's see, about 5 years, 6 years, uh, not quite 6 years, about 5.5 years, I was doing good. I worked at a hospital. I was working in the medical field. When I was 18, I had my juvenile record sealed and expunged, and so I was able to get a job in the healthcare. I held a state medical license. You know what I mean? And so I was doing good.
Yeah.
And then uh, I got I hurt my back at work, and I I went in to the ER. I went downstairs because I was working in the hospital. I was working in an intensive care unit, and I went downstairs to the ER, and they gave me a shot of Demerol and a handful of Percocet. And I remember
Yep.
going. I got on the elevator to go upstairs to tell the charge nurse that I was going home. And I just remember standing in this elevator, and I'm like, man, this elevator's taking forever. I hadn't even hit the button to go up. I was so high. You know what I mean? And I was like, what the hell? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. So I get up there, this whole situation becomes this long drawn out process of just I'm going and seeing these doctors. And these doctors, now mind you, this is 2005. This is 2000. No, I'm sorry. I hurt my back in 2002. Um 2003. And they're just loading me full of just perk 10s after perk 10s. And I'm like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. Back in the day, they would give us whatever we wanted. I remember.
man, and on top of it, I worked in the medical field. I knew the lingo. I knew the doctors. I knew, you know what I mean? So they were just handing them to me like they were candy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So that was my first true love when it comes to drugs was cocaine. And but I didn't struggle with addiction with cocaine. I never was really. I mean, I did at one point. I was really bad off into it, but the things that I would do for pills
Right.
was way, way more. You know what I'm saying? Drastic, way more crazy than if I didn't have coke, whatever, fine, okay, but the pills just really drug me down. I couldn't work, from 2002, uh, from 2002 or 2003. I can't remember if it was 2002 or 2003 when I got on them, but from that point forward, I couldn't work. I couldn't, if I didn't have pills. And what was so bad was they would give me a month's worth of pain pills, and in 2 weeks I'd be out. And so
Yep.
for two weeks after that, I would just be, I can't tell you how many times I was dope sick, coming off them pills. And finally, I got to the point where I was like, man, I know somebody else has got to have these. You know what I mean? I know
Right.
someone's got to be selling these things. So then I started buying them, and when I found a decent connection on them, it was like my life. I was just high the entire, just 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was just high all the time. And if I
Right.
wasn't, I was worthless. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work. I couldn't function. I couldn't spend time with my kids. This drug just consumed me and my life and just took over. And I went to prison in 2006. And the first time down, I talked a good game. I'm not gonna use, I'm not gonna this, I'm not gonna that. Blah, blah. I got out, and I wasn't out 2 days, and I was taking a morphine 60 milligram and just damn near OD'd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the first time down, I didn't learn anything, man. I I blew through the time gambling, playing cards, pinocchles, spades, poker, and didn't learn a damn thing really. I get out 2009. I got married. I had a son. This was the first time I've been married, and I married somebody that I had met in work release, and ended up being a toxic relationship, and it was bad. And in the end, well, I can't even say in the end because I was using pills. I had got out and found a doctor to start out prescribing me Tylenol 3s, And by the time I got done with her, she's giving me a handful of, Percocet again, and I'm back in the same damn boat.
Yep.
And I went to prison in 2012 again. Both times I went to prison was for robbery in the first degree. Well, the second time I went, I got a deadly weapon enhancement. So I had 2 years of complete dead time. You don't get no good time on any type of enhancements up here in Washington State.
Were you
So I,
robbing? Were you robbing to get money for your addiction?
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And in 2012, I had actually, 2012, I had actually graduated to slamming, drugs. And once I discovered that, it was like, whoa, hello,
There's no reason to take a pill or snort a line or smoke ever again.
ever,
Never again.
ever,
I know.
never. It was, man, I just, if anybody is out there that's listening or watching this, if you are thinking about using via IV, or yeah, through a needle, don't. Please don't. Just even if it's just for today, don't, because man, that it screwed my life up. I mean, my life it didn't screw my life up, but it definitely, man, it can lead to death and destruction very easily.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because
It leads to it a lot quicker
yeah,
than taking them orally. It's just I don't know what it is. It just speeds everything up.
man. And I used to get when I was in prison, I used to get into arguments with some of these old heads who would tell me, "Oh, the cleanest way of using drugs is shooting up," and I'm like, "How can what? No, no, it's not. What are you talking about?
Well,
No,
it's
it's not."
clean. It's cleaner if you use a clean needle and you disinfect but drug addicts don't do that. We get down
No,
to the low and then
yeah,
we don't have a clean syringe, so we'll use the same syringe. I
yeah,
swear I've used the same syringe until it was so dull that I had to stab my arm to
yeah,
get it to go
yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah. And I've used. Listen, I in the height of my addiction, I used water out of a mud puddle. You know what I mean? I'm, I'm like,
I know. I
I
know.
mean, what the hell? So I just, and thank God, thank the heavens above. When I went through when you go to prison up here, you go through the reception center, you go through the intake, and you get tested for every STD. You get Hep C, everything. And thankfully, I was clean of everything. I don't have any. I didn't have any STDs then. I don't now, or any diseases at all. And I remember I was sitting there, and I was when they're drawing my blood, and I asked about the Hep C because I was worried about the Hep C. And I just remember thinking when the lady asked me, she says, "Well, have you used any risky behavior in shooting up?" I'm like, "What's your definition of risky behavior?" You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she's like, "Well, have you shared needles? Have you been clean?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, no, I haven't been very clean about it." And I told
Right.
her that I used water out of a mud puddle, and she was like, "Oh, well, we're not supposed to say this, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you probably got it." And I'm like, "Damn." So I don't hear nothing. And the lady says, "If you don't hear anything, no news is good news." And I'm thinking, all right, great. So for the first week, I'm just like white knuckling, like, "Oh my God, please, Lord, don't let me have nothing." And I actually put in a kite to go see medical again, just to get confirmation. I get down there and she's like, "Oh no, you're good." I'm like, "Oh Jesus, thank you." And I remember this relief coming over me of just like, "Thank you." And then I'm thinking to myself, "Okay, I'm never using drugs again. I'm done." I go to prison the second time, and I'm in prison for what, 2 years from 2020? Yeah, 2 years, and I get moved to an institution that my then wife has a ton of family at this institution,
Hmm.
and some of her family, have been down since the 70s. You know what I mean? And so I get there and I find out that heroin's everywhere. Now, I have only used heroin on the streets about 5 times
Hmm.
before I had went to prison. I hadn't used heroin. I was always about pills.
Yeah, me too.
And
I think
yeah,
I've used heroin probably like 15 times off the street. It was
yeah,
always at Roxy's or Oxy's or
yeah, yeah,
Dilaudid or something like
yeah.
that.
Oh, Dilaudid, that was, oh yeah. So I get to them Dilaudid, man. Woo.
I
So,
know those are my husband's favorite.
oh man, they were
we were
my favorite
he,
too.
I hated those because
I
they
loved them.
always gave me that pins and needles feeling.
Yeah, and then my
I
legs,
hate that.
it made my legs feel like they weren't there. Kind of, it was weird. I loved it,
Yeah.
but so I get to this institution where my then wife's family's at, and there's heroin everywhere, and her family is well connected, well respected, and I started, using. Well, I used all the way up until 2017. June 12th of 2017 is my clean date. And I went to the hole in 2017, and I got out of the hole. My then wife tells me she's leaving me and she's done with me. Now, mind you, in 2017, I had 18 months left. You know what I mean? Now,
Mhm.
she rode with me the whole time up until this point. The best thing that ever happened to me in my life was that she left me and she quit messing with me. Um, I was able to focus on me and what I needed to do, and I had to figure out what it is I wanted, and I went to in prison. I went to what's called a therapeutic community, a TC
I've,
program.
I've been to one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I think I heard you talking about on your channel about cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
Was that you that I heard talking about that?
Probably. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
that's what every pretty much both of the TCs that I went to, that's what they used there was,
yeah,
um, and they also like taught us about holding each other accountable
yeah,
and. You know what I'm saying? They call it like in other prisons they'll call it like a snitch camp, but
yeah,
basically
yeah,
it's like we're learning how to do the right thing, and when we see someone else not do the right thing, like make sure that they know they need to be doing the right thing too. You know what I mean?
right. See, now we have up here, we have there's multiple different TC programs up here. The one that I was at was actually the most relaxed, as far as, like, there are some that are hardcore, what they call snitch camps, because like if you see somebody doing something, that you got to raise their awareness, and you got to do it to
You got to
start.
pull them up. Like if you were
Yeah,
over there and you were like getting high and I saw you, I would have to walk over to you and say, Jo, I'm pulling you up for
yeah,
destructive behavior on the compound. And the reason why
absolutely.
I'm pulling you up is because this behavior can drag you down in life and you need to get rid of
Yeah,
this before you leave
yeah,
here.
yeah,
And then if you can't do that one on one and like resolve the conflict, then you have to do it in front of all the guards.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
There's the same. They have a camp like that up here, and thankfully that's not the one that I went to. I went to the very relaxed one. And what's unique about my story is I went from being in the hole at this program to I was the senior coordinator of this program before I left, and it was very interesting because there there was a psychologist. Her name was Dr. Scallon, And she came to me and said, I want to help you and I want to work with you. And I said, and this lady, this I don't even know what led her to working in prisons, because this lady did not. I mean, this lady was probably 6 foot tall. She was an older. She looked like an old grandma, and
Uh-huh.
but she was so timid. She was skinny. She was so skinny that it looked unhealthy. Like you could see her bones. Like it was very sickly looking, skinny. And I remember I looked at her, and any time that she would walk by, convicts, she would get scared, and real, like she was scared of her own shadow. She really is. Well,
Aw.
I remember her coming to me and telling me this, and I said, "Listen, no offense, lady, you don't know what it's like to walk 10 feet in my shoes. There's no way that you can help me." And up until this time, I had always been against therapy. I hated it. I didn't like it. I thought it was worthless. I didn't think that anybody could sit and talk to me or let me talk to them and I was going to fix anything. Well, it started out, I was supposed to be in her office on Mondays, and I was supposed to be in there for an hour on Mondays. And when I first started seeing her, let me back up. The reason why I ended up seeing her was because they gave me an override to stay at this camp. Um, and it was because of this lady. This lady basically said, I want to help him. And when she told me that they were going to give me an override, but one of the conditions was I had to come in and see her, I was like, oh, well, okay. Well, I appreciate you giving me an override, whatever. That's fine. That's cool. But no, because you know what? Nobody really likes to go backwards once you're in prison. Once you've made it to a minimum facility, nobody wants to go backwards. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't. And so it started out, I was supposed to see her on Monday mornings for an hour. Well, I would go in there, and also the one thing that changed my entire perspective of this lady was when I told her that I didn't see how she could help me. And she looked at me and she says, Mr. Ostrom, you're right. I don't know what it's like to walk in your shoes. And I don't know what your struggles have been like. And I probably can't relate to any of them because I haven't lived that life. She says, but what I do know is emotions. And I said, oh, okay. And she says, I do know I do know what different feelings feel like. I do know what it feels like to be angry and mad and upset and frustrated. I do know what the feeling of loss is. And she says, I'm a human being just like you, and I understand feelings. And I said, whoa, I never had a therapist hit me with some game like that ever. And I was like, okay, you got my attention. It really resonated with me that this therapist told me that she didn't know what it was like to live my life, but she knew what it was like as far as she knew what these feelings were like. So
Yeah.
I really liked that, and it really stuck with me. So I started out going into her office, and I would be in there for 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. I'll see you next week. Well, by the time I had left, I left this particular prison and went to the streets, went home. I was in her office 4 days a week because she worked 4 days a week. I was in her office 4 days a week for sometimes up to 3-4 hours a day. You know what I mean? To the point where some of my homeboys and other people were like, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
Like I was in there a lot, and I learned a lot about myself, man. This lady really helped me out a lot. She really she got me to do the digging and got me, to figuring out what the root problem was. Because the one thing I learned about drugs, and the thing that I learned about um, why we use drugs is there's always a root cause.
Right.
There's always a root problem that you need to work out and you need to deal with. And I don't care what you do. I don't care how many NA meetings or AA meetings or different classes or whatever that you go to, until you find that root problem and until you fix that problem, you're not going to be able to recover. And
Right.
and that's what I had learned, you know. And so I did a lot of CBT as well as DBT, and I was trying to remember. I forget what DBT, what the name of. I forget the name of it. It's something behavioral therapy, though. It's kind of
I've never let me look it up. I'll look it up
okay.
because I know it's CBT, but I've never done DBT before.
Yeah, it's dia something. I forget, but it's DBT. Look up, see what it is. I did some CBT. I did some DBT. I did
Dialectical behavior therapy. Dialectical.
Yep, dialectical. I knew it was dia something. Yep.
Huh.
But I ended up being the senior coordinator of this program. Meaning basically I was the head honcho of this program. I ran the program. I did the meetings. I hired, fired people. I did everything. And I never had a responsibility like that inside the prison, you know, atmosphere. And it was very different. It was very challenging because I was used to convict mode and you know, we don't talk to the police and we don't this and we don't that. Well, I spent a lot of time dealing with custody and just regular staff of the program, and it was very different. It was very different. It was very, very challenging, very difficult at first. But somebody in there, one of my advisors, one of my a really good close friend of mine, his name was Mr. Todd, and he was very influential in my transformation. And his deal was to be objective about everything, you know, and stop being subjective and putting your emotions and feelings into everything. Just look at things objectively. And when I do that, I find that with everything in life, if I look at it objectively and I take the emotion out of it, I tend to make the right decision.
Right.
You know?
And you know what? By giving you that responsibility, that helped you to feel better about yourself because it gives you confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah.
Like I try to tell everybody, when you get sober, like try to find a job and get involved in like some extracurricular activities, because when we're getting high, we're like, we don't have any self-esteem or self-worth. And so now you're in charge. You're getting self-esteem. You're getting self-worth built up. I mean, that helps, you know?
Right. Yeah, I tell you, you know what? I'm so mad. I forgot to bring it. I knew I was going through my stuff the other day, and I knew I was going to be on your show, and I wanted to read this. I might have to come back on for a part 2, or
I almost totally forgot because today was Memorial Day, and you texted me.
Yeah,
and I felt so bad. Because I was actually talking to this other kid, and I was like, "Yeah, we can do it Monday." And then you texted me, and I texted him back, and I was like, "Hey, I totally forgot. I never flake on people. Like that's not my style. You know what I mean?" So I was like, "I'll have to get you on another day. Like tonight, I have somebody else coming on." And I was so glad that you texted me because sometimes it's like I schedule people and then I'm off and running for the rest of the week doing this, that, and another, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I might have to come back on for a second part, or maybe catch you on one of these nights when you're doing a live stream or something. Because I forgot to bring this up. I really wanted to read it to you, but I wrote a letter to opioids and heroin, you know. And I wrote this letter. This lady, this Dr. Scallon, had me write this letter. And basically, I wrote this letter and I talked about the good times that we had. It was almost like writing a Dear John letter.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly what it is. And
yeah,
you're going to mourn your drug of
yeah,
choice. It's like breaking up
yes,
with your best friend.
yes, it is
It's like
exactly.
saying goodbye to somebody that committed suicide or
Yep,
divorced you or
yep,
dumped your ass or it's
yep,
I know. I've done the same thing and I've also like done that with people that have passed away in my life that were
yes,
really important to me that I never got to
yep,
say goodbye to and it's like
yes.
it really helps a lot.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe how much it helped. You know what I mean? It took all the power away from them, from opioids and heroin, because in prison I developed a heroin habit. And so I when I got out, I've been out since Valentine's Day of 2019. Um, I have about 70 days left of parole, DOC. No violations. I haven't been back to jail. I haven't so much as had a speeding ticket since I've
Good.
been out. And I'm still in the middle of my divorce, which with this COVID crap has really kind of put just everything is just closed up, and um, which is kind of pain in my butt. But I have a fiance. I have a 7-month-old daughter, and then I have another
Is
daughter.
that your ninth kid?
No, I have 8. When I said 8,
You,
that was counting my
okay.
7-month-old, and then also my fiance is due in September.
Wow.
Yeah,
I cannot believe like how many kids you have. You
yeah,
must have been getting busy, man.
I really was, and man, and I have, you know what? The other thing with all this, I'd like to tell your audience, through this whole struggle and through this whole transformation, um, the one thing that all this that 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 has happened is it's led me back to my kids, um, because my kids, I have a 10-year-old son who him and I's always been cool. We've always been kind of close. Um, he got he got a lot more of my attention than most of my other kids. Um, but I have a 17-year-old daughter who's always been her and I's always been super, super, super close. Um, and we still are to this day. But it brought me back to some of my other kids um, that really didn't want anything to do with me or hadn't been around me, didn't know me. And man, I gotta tell you, it feels good, man, because my kids love me, they support me. The other relationship that was very important. This is what I was gonna tell your audience too. What did it for me, what my root problem was me and my mother's relationship. And when I wrote my mother a letter and I put it all on paper, I mean everything on paper,
Yeah.
and I sent it to her, I felt just a million times better, and I forgave her, and I think this world, if I was the the leader of the world, Jo would say we need to give more love and forgiveness in the world. You know what I mean? And I feel like that would just make the world a much better place.
It's hard, when you grow up like you did though, like with your mom. Um, she was young when she had you and you probably had resentments built up from
Oh
years and
man,
years and years of
did
neglect,
I? Did I?
and then it's hard for you to break that cycle because that's the way you were raised. So now you're
Exactly.
going out and you're repeating that same cycle. And so now you're able to break that and start fresh with your kids and your
Yep.
family. And that's the best thing about it is that you might not have been there at the beginning for all those kids, but now you can be there for them in your recovery, and now you're sober and you're fixing to get off paper. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big accomplishment. You know what I mean? Especially for somebody who is, going out there and just doing a lot of crimes, committing a
Yeah.
lot of, it's hard to turn your life around
Oh
from doing
man,
that
is it?
to doing right. It's difficult.
It's so difficult. And I tell you, when I got out, now listen, let me tell you the other part to this whole story is kind of, I didn't get out to a beautiful setting. I didn't get out to peaches and cream. I got out to, uh, I speak of my ex-wife or soon to be ex-wife. I got out to, I in Washington State, you have to have an address to get released out
Yeah.
into the free world. The only address I had was her address. And I got released to her address with her having a live-in boyfriend that I didn't know anything about. And so I get out to this, and I mean, I managed to make it work for about 3.5 months. But I mean, nothing came easy for me when I got out. I ended up homeless for a minute. But thankfully, I have an apartment. I now, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I have an apartment, and that was something I had never had. I was so proud of myself for achieving the simplest thing of having my own place. I never had my own place.
I understand.
It was always with a woman, or it was always somebody else's stuff. I may have been
Same here, man. I was always sleeping on somebody's couch,
Yeah.
or I mean, God, man, I've had like my own trailer, but I always had like God and everybody else living in there with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was a flop house.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And now that I have my own place, I have a good, wholesome relationship with my fiance. We have our issues and our battles, but we love each other, and she's a big support person. You know what I mean? She supports me in what I'm doing. She loves me unconditionally, and she's been there since I've been, not at my worst, but at my lowest, as far as like, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of anything, you know what I mean? And she still supports me and still is there with me. So I'm very thankful. The relationships that I have with my kids is awesome. The relationship I have with my mother is just, oh my God, it's amazing, man. My mother, oh my God, it makes me so happy inside. My mother came up here and saw me in December. I had to go down to Kansas in February because she had a reaction to a drug and her brain swelled up. Scary, super scary. I was so scared. They didn't know if she was going to make it. I flew down to Kansas. I was there with her for that. My mom has my mother has helped me out financially over this last, almost year and a half now that I've been out, more than ever in my life. And it feels good when I can call my mom and be like, Mom, I need $20. And she doesn't ask me why. She doesn't ask me.
That's because she trusts you because you're doing right and you're staying sober.
Yes, she knows. I remember when I first moved into my apartment, I'm on a program. It's a housing program up here in Washington called the HEN program. And they pay, they pay a great deal of my rent, and they help me out a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Well, one of the things that I had to do was I had to get insurance, renter's insurance. Well, I didn't have it. I couldn't do it. So I called my mom, and my mom's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." She'd been, she'd been paying it the entire time. And I keep saying like, "Mom, you want me to?" She's like, I got it, son. Don't worry about it." and it feels good. My mom gave me her card number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, it just felt good, for me that my mom trusted me with this kind of stuff, because there was a point in time where there was no way, because I was trying to steal it from my mom, probably. You know what I mean?
I
And
totally relate. Like,
man,
it's the same way with my parents now, and I'm very, very grateful. Like, just that they'll even like they give me money for my son for Christmas, and they would have never done that before because
never.
they know I would take that cash and go
Yep.
spend it on dope. But
Yep.
now they know, and my daddy even called me to tell me like, I'm so proud of you and I love you and I trust you. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's the best feeling. And it's all because we're doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep. So, but
I
yeah,
love you. Listen to me. You did a really good job. I didn't think you were going to share this much because you were like,
yeah.
I'm going to be real big. And I was like, oh, I hate that.
I didn't mean. I just meant. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to. I there's still a lot to it. You know what I mean? But I just I wanted to give you. I wanted to give you. I like your show. I watched it a lot. And yeah, I'm glad that you are happy with it. I thank you for bringing me on. Thank you for
A lot of people will be
supporting my
able to
channel.
relate to your story because a lot of people that watch my channel have been to prison, are addicted to opiates, or have gotten off opiates. And so Merk has been linking your channel in the comments. We are live on YouTube and Facebook right now.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
you're in my Facebook group, you're on my Facebook profile, and you're here on YouTube. So everybody that sees this will get your link. And I've already told everybody to please go subscribe to your channel.
yes.
And I'll be looking forward to having you back on because I want you to read that letter.
Yes, I will. Absolutely. Yeah, I will do that. Well, I'll have to come back on.
Or if you do it, if you read it on your channel, send me the video so I can share it over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, I would love to have you on my channel as well at some point. I would love to have you on in an interview.
Anytime.
Yeah. Also, before I get out of here, I'd like to thanks again so much, Nicole. It's been great coming on your show. You to all of your subscribers and people following you. You can check me out, Validated Prison Stories on YouTube. Also, I'm on Instagram at validated_prisons_stories. And yeah, if there's anybody that's interested, that's been to prison, that has a story, reach out to me. I'd love to hear it. Thanks again so much for having me on your show.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm not like a lot of other people. Like, I love having people on my channel. I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure you've experienced this, but a lot of people on YouTube, they get to a certain point and then they're like too good to answer your.
It's weird, man.
It's weird. I'm not like that. I'm down to earth. I'm cool as hell. I don't care if you have a channel or you don't have a channel, or you do. I just want to hear stories that are recovery, stories of like triumph over adversity. I mean, like I've had Nate on my channel and he's not even a drug addict, but his story is about overcoming.
Big shout out to my guy Nate Dogg. I really like Nate, man.
And I also told everybody, I shouted out Texas Prison Stories too, because that's where I first found you.
Yes, Texas Prison. Big shout out to my guy Tim Snow, man. He's another one. I salute him, man. He's been really good. I've been, I haven't really been I haven't been putting in a lot of work into my channel because I've been so busy with just a whole bunch of other stuff going on. But I am going to get into it more, starting probably. Well, it is this week. I've done everything. Yes, it is. Yes.
You upload at least like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Or even 2 times a week. YouTube is going to see that you're consistently uploading, and so then they're going to recommend your videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
I upload every single day, and it took me 2 years to get to the point where I'm at now. A lot of people now you can get to where you need to go a lot faster because you know, it's just you could do it a lot faster than I did it. I didn't know how to tag my videos. I didn't know how to title my videos.
I know. I didn't know any of that stuff either at first. Big shout out to Nate Dogg and Tim at Texas Prison Stories, because they laced me up with a lot of game that I didn't know nothing about. And
same.
Yeah.
Tim helped me too.
Yeah. So, but all right, Nicole, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on, and I'll link your channel and everything. Send me a picture of you, okay?
I got you.
All right. Bye. Have a good Memorial Day.
You too now.
Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry I'm so dark. I'm literally in the man cave, it feels like. Okay, you guys, so thank you so much. That was... Y'all knew we weren't going to make it through this whole video without Nate coming in. Hold on, let's get out of this dark-ass room. I was stuck in here because Nathaniel's watching TV in here, guys. So I didn't want it to be too loud to where y'all couldn't hear. But... that's J.O. His channel is called Validated Prison Stories. Mark has been linking the channel in the comments. And I will our description, and I will link it in the comment. This video is uploaded. But I just wanted to thank all of you guys for coming. I see everybody in the chat. Hey.
Hi, guys.
Everybody in the... give me shit. Okay, sorry about that, guys. In this video, lagging. Okay, I love you guys.